I tried. I thought today I should pull it all. None of my colleagues wanted to do this. I so wish Barbara was here to join me, as Dr. Ramahopa did join me yesterday, to do the wire challenge. That's the only way to start spring. Happy Spring Day, everyone. I hope you enjoying your spring, and welcome to yet this finals, or what we call season finale. That's the final session of our 2022 GTAC Winter School. So good to have you with us today, and I hope you are warm, you are cozy, you are feeling the vibe on the spring day, and you're ready for us to go through the program and really enjoy ourselves. My name is Vusi Maupa from the National Treasury, and I've been your host since Monday, and I'm still your host today. This is our final day, as I said, of our 2022 GTAC Winter School. We're looking forward to today. As you always know, it's always a jam-packed program. I can't wait for what you're going to have to see over the next couple of minutes or hours as we go along. Just a bit of reflection. Do you still remember what we did in the past 2 days? If you still do, please share your reflections of what you think happened, or what some of the key takeaways for the past 2 days that you think some highlights that you learned from the past 2 days. Please drop us a chat. I see on my screen there someone, Pamela, has at least said Happy Spring Day. Happy Spring Day to you too, Pamela. There. Let's get to see what we have learned over the past 2 days. It could be a day before where we spoke to some of our seasoned experts, including Professor Ivor and Professor Ivan Turok, telling us about some of them. Introducing to some of our terms, giving us a contrast between how corruption is between China and South Africa, and getting a sense from Ismail Momoniat, giving us more information on what government has been doing in the space of infrastructure. And we moved yesterday to interactive sessions where you had a chance to interact and do some of those sessions with your groups. But we also had Dr. Hosi Yensu Ramohopa giving us a great deal of the insight of what the government of South Africa is doing in as far as infrastructure is concerned. Let's get to see, we're getting Spring Day wishes and people really enjoying the day here today. All right. As you're reflecting on what we did over the past 2 days, we'd like to get those reflections from you, of course, as we go along. Feel free to share, and we'll be happy to read those reflections. You can do so on the chat, or you can go on our social media platforms, hashtag GTAC Winter School 2022. You can use that hashtag and we'll follow those conversations, try to read as many as we can here live on our studio. As I said, we're coming live from our visual production studio in Midrand, and I'm alone today. How sad. Over the past 2 days, I had a company, I had big profile people joining me. I have an empty chair just sitting next to me. No one is joining me, but I'm happy that you are with me and you're going to stay with me until the end of the session today. All right. Those of you that may have missed a thing or two when it comes to how to use an MMITS facility, and those that maybe the first time they join here, I'd just like to remind you of a few things about the importance on how to use the facility that you've joined in. What you're seeing on your screen now, it's what we call a reception. That's where you get in a normal event and you start meeting people there. But you can then move from a reception to look at what we have in store for you. Look at the sessions. You see that there's a welcoming and opening keynote address. So you can click and join there during breaks. Feel free to click on a break and you join the break session. You could watch some of the videos, some of the materials that we prepared for you. And that's how you join the sessions. And you go back to our reception area, then you can work around to think, where am I going next? And you can say, okay, let me go and meet some friends in a lounge. And in a lounge, that's where you could, it's an important opportunity for you to network. Lounge is quite key, especially today. Ensure that you don't leave this session without getting at least one contact. So you can get those contacts by going to the lounge, gather around friends, gather around colleagues, and share ideas in the lounge. Going back to the reception, you can decide what you want to see. There are a couple of things to see in exhibition. For example, exhibition gives you all the information that you want. If you're interested in joining GTAC, just click on it. You have all the information that you need that as far as GTAC is concerned. You can also have the similar information about the National Treasury as well as the Jobs Fund. So that's a very important session that you could have there. And of course, you have resources that you can use by downloading. Just click on the resource link at the bottom left corner there. Also, there are social media platforms. You can click on them there on your top right. Remember to follow LinkedIn. It's quite key. I can't stop to emphasize LinkedIn enough. We have our weekly webinars on LinkedIn that you can follow every week. So ensure that you have followed our LinkedIn account, right? Follow our LinkedIn account, that is GTAC South Africa, especially if you're an economist that you want to understand, or a scholar. That's a great knowledge hub for public economic scholars or scholars in general. So make sure you follow that. There is a poll, there is a survey. After every session, we're going to give you a poll for you to complete, to give us a sense of how you're feeling about the session. After every session, after the session today, after all from now until the afternoon, we're going to give you a survey. So a survey on the up top right corner, there's something that looks like a puzzle. If you click on it, it will send you to a survey link, and you can complete that survey. And then there's another thing we call chats and questions, right? So chats are when you, I mean, like Pamela did, wishing us a spring day. I see Vanessa also wished us a spring day. You use those for chats, of course, and we will read those chats. Vanessa Kwete from University of South Africa, really wishing us a spring day, and someone, Silo Raymond, you know, saying why, this is it. So use that for chat. But if you have a question to our panelists or any of us, use a Q&A session. A Q&A, it's next to the chat, you click Q&A and you type your question. So here's a trick. If you see someone has asked a question that is similar to what you wanted to ask, or you think the question is so burning that it needs to be answered, you can upvote it. There's an up looking arrow. You just click on it, on the question, and then it upvotes. It gives it primary preference or priority in our list. You'll be able to do so. The emojis are also available for all of us. I've seen some of them. Let me see if you can use emojis. I see some sharps going up. I see some laughter going in there. People showing us some love, yes. Some laughing, of course, throwing shades. Those are the emojis you use. They are just at the bottom of your screen. So those are some of the key technicalities that you wanted to pass through. Perhaps remind you of them as we go along in our season finale of the GTAC 2022 Winter School. If you're from the media and would like to have any question addressed, please address it to me, and we'll see if we have a specific session that addresses a media-related question. All right, enough about the technicalities. We've heard about how we use the facility. We've gotten to spring. We are all happy, energetic, and I love the excitement that I'm seeing there from all of you. I wish you could be here with me, but I could feel the energy, man. It's so contagious. I could feel it that you are with us in spirit. So what we're gonna do today, quite interesting day we have for you. We have at the beginning, we're going to have two sessions, right? What we call framing sessions. Those sessions will then take us to a quick 10 minutes break. But let's reflect quickly on those sessions. We'd have the Director General from the KwaZulu Natal Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Barbara Mgutshini, who will really start and speak to us about service delivery challenges within the local government context. She's from, again, the KwaZulu Natal Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. And she'll provide a provincial view, which is quite critical to us in this winter school. She will also highlight some of the overlapping responsibilities between the different spheres of government. And after framing that, we'll move to some of our colleagues from Statistics South Africa, that is Neil and Casmet. They will speak to us about a very comprehensive community survey that was done just a few years ago. The survey is so comprehensive that it looked at things we spoke about over the past 2 days and things that we're still going to speak about today. It looks at housing, water, sanitation, energy, and ICT, and will be prepared or will be repeated when the census data is done this year. So the panel discussion about, give us a good sense of what we're looking forward to. But ladies and gentlemen, the gloves are off. That one I can promise you. The gloves will be off when we see our seasoned political analyst and a professor, Stephen Friedman, taking head-to-head with Auditor General and some of our colleagues, talking all things about service delivery, local government, and everything. So you don't want to miss that session towards the end of the thing. Some colleagues will come from the National Treasury and elsewhere to give us a good sense. But that session where the gloves will be off, definitely it's not for the miss. All right, we do understand have our first keynote speaker that is online with us. If I may just get a sense, if Mgutshini, are you with us?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. I'm in. I like your energy levels. Can you see me?
I can see you, Mama. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us for today and really giving us a good framing session around some of the service delivery when it comes to, or giving us a provincial perspective when it comes to service delivery, and how do we make sense of all these interlinkages between the different spheres of government. And I understand that you are from KwaZulu Natal, CoGTA. We are so happy to have you with us today, and I'm sure you can't wait to share all the nuggets and the information as you give us an opening keynote. Ma'am Barbara, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vusi. As I said, I like your energy levels. I wish I had such high energy level like yourself. Happy Spring Day. It is spring, but where I'm broadcasting from in KwaZulu Natal, it's cold, very cold. I'm actually in the Midlands meander, and the temperatures are quite low today. So it is spring. I'm dressed for spring, but unfortunately, it's cold. Yesterday we had our closed Women's Days. We're closing Women's Day events for the month of August. I missed the session yesterday because of the Women's Day events, but I'm trying to play catch up. I did replay the session by Dr. Ramakopa. Unfortunately, it was quite late for me, so I haven't been able to play catch up on everything. But it is quite interesting, the sessions. And yesterday's session was quite informative, I hear, and I missed quite a bit of it. Moving on then to the session for today, as much as I missed yesterday, I run the risk of repeating myself in terms of my presentation, and I'm hoping that will not be the case since I missed the session. Again, coming to the issue of local government has been heavily diagnosed. The diseases are so many varied, but somehow there is no doctor that has been able to give the right medication. So many people have come, so many specialists have come, do this, do that, but somehow it's not happening. I don't know why it's not happening. Probably the doctors are not giving us the right medicine. I don't know. But we need to know exactly how best we can address the issues that we are facing within the local government sector. The system is broken, but again, as I said, the medicine is not helping. We've had Project Consolidate. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of Project Consolidate. That was introduced by, I think it was Minister Mufamadi. It didn't help. We moved on to the local government turnaround strategy. It was through Minister Shikeka. Somehow we thought this time things are going to turn around, but still nothing happened. And then we moved on to back to basics. I think it was through Minister Pravin Gordhan. Back to basics, we thought, yes, this time around, I think we've got it right. But still, things are still not happening. And then we eventually moved maybe last year, the president launched what they called the district development model. And we are hoping that model is going to at least solve some of the problems, but they are too vast. And in my view, I think we keep giving medication, but we are still not getting it right. So that's the introduction to my presentation. Just to give a brief understanding of the system itself, the organizational model for local government. Although there is the NDP, the National Infrastructure Plan, and so forth, I decided to start with the political mandate because at local government level, in municipalities, both district and local, is the political mandate that sort of takes precedence in reality. As much as we've got guiding principles in terms of the NDP, in terms of the other master plans that are there, but the political mandates actually inform what eventually gets into the integrated development plan, which is the strategy. That then informs your service delivery and budget implementation plan, then your performance management, and then the outcomes of what you need to do. The enablers to all this, it's you need your budgets, you need your bylaws, your policies, legislation. There are also the people, the structure itself. If you don't have the right structure, the right people, will you deliver on this? And then the processes and systems, and then the equipment and facilities. And all this is also governed by the stakeholders, the community that we serve. And again, the issues around the compliance issues and the risk. Moving on to the second slide, I'm telling you what you already know in terms of the powers and functions of the local government, municipalities and locals. But what is important is to show the center part where there are concurrent powers and functions. We talk about solid waste, we talk about firefighting, disaster management, issues of symmetry, crematorium, the issues of LED. Those are some of the concurrent functions that we have. But within the KZN system, which is quite different from other provinces, we've got some powers and functions that are assigned to the district and in some cases to locals. I'll take an example of water and sanitation. Within KZN, which is not the same with other provinces, water and sanitation has been assigned to the district. We call them the district water service authorities. And we also have about 4 municipalities that are local that have also been assigned that water and sanitation function. And then, but when it comes to the communities themselves, they cannot differentiate whether it's a district that is providing that function or it's a local. They just say local government is providing the function and they don't differentiate. So that causes a lot of problems because when there is a burst pipe, the first person that you go to is within the local municipality and the local will say to you, but it's not my function. Can you report that at the district? So we need to address that as we move forward in terms of our systems to say when a report is made, whether in a local or district, even if it's not your function, you should be able to address or you should be able to take that matter up with the district instead of referring the communities to the district when they don't even know where to start and they don't understand the system of local government, which differentiates the powers and functions between local and districts. I really don't understand why we've got that kind of arrangement because it really confuses our communities. Moving on, I'm just going to go deeper into a diagnosis that you already know, where I'm going to indicate what the challenges are within the local government system. And this is borrowed from the Bureau of Economic Research. There are so many diagnostic reports, but I'm just going to focus on 5 issues that I'm looking at, and I'm calling these the macro issues. Later on in the presentation, I'll go into the organizational, more internal issues that are affecting us within the local government system. The issues that I'm going to look at relate to the issues around the disjuncture between the constitutional and political arrangements at the local government level, the issue of overlapping responsibilities between the spheres of government, and also the role that factionalism and the issue of coalition is playing in KZN is one of the worst affected when it comes to the issue of coalition and factionalism. And then the issue of the spatial planning, the difference is based on the past injustices. And lastly, the issue of migration and how it's affecting the delivery of services. In terms of the disjuncture between the constitutional and political arrangements, it is clear that there are serious challenges because of the political administrative interface. Politics is at play within the local government system, and this is one of the biggest reasons why the local government system is failing us in terms of the delivery of services. As much as the Constitution looks at the local government as an equal player with autonomy, that is not the case because the politics is at play, and whatever is happening at local government level, it's actually informed by the political parties, and which are themselves more hierarchical in nature. They are not autonomous. They inform. They get their directives from their political parties, which then dilutes the whole concept of autonomy within the local government system. And that is our biggest problem when it comes to actual delivery of services. Moving on to the challenge number 2, which I'm calling the overlapping responsibilities of the different spheres of government. We've got the Constitution that differentiates the 3 spheres, and I did indicate the powers and functions in one of the slides that I've already gone through. But the argument is municipalities are really failing to deliver, or they are overregulated, underfunded, and there's a lot of interference in terms of what they need to do from different sectors. We've got provinces, we've got national, that determine what happens at a local level. And maybe another question for another day would be, do we really need provinces, or we just need the local, the municipalities and the national government? Maybe one of the spheres need to go so that we limit the blurring of the functions between these 3 spheres of government. When it comes to municipalities, we then look at them, we intervene through Section 139. We do all sorts of things which end up confusing the municipalities themselves, and they then, in the end, fail to deliver. Again, the issue of the fiscal challenges at municipalities. There are so many programs that municipalities are told to implement on behalf of government, and some of those programs are not a priority for the municipalities themselves because they know what the communities want. They link up with the communities, and they know their interests and needs. But then as provinces and national, we come with our own programs that are really not a priority, and that becomes a problem. And in the end, local government is said to not be delivering. And then we come to the issue of the role of factionalism and the coalitions that I highlighted earlier. And again, this is our biggest challenge in KZN, given the high number of what we call hung municipalities, where you cannot tell which party is the decision maker, and the politics is actually killing our province as KZN. They're different. There's so many parties in KZN, but there is also the intra-party or inter-party politics that is at play, that is affecting the ability of local government to function. These symptoms of the factionalism that we have are quite serious, and in most cases, officials cannot implement service delivery initiatives because of the fear of politics, and again the lack of any strategic direction, because the politics is at play with different factions trying to tell the officials what to do. This then has a knock-on effect in terms of service delivery, and in the end, local government fails to deliver. In KZN, we've got a number of hung municipalities, about 25 of them that are under coalition, and some of these municipalities then they struggle to adopt strategies. The adoption of budgets in some cases never happens. And we've got a case in one of the districts in the north where it's now dysfunctional and everything is at a standstill. They couldn't adopt their budgets. Yesterday, everyone was running around to submit their annual financial statements before midnight, and I can assure you that district has not submitted their annual financial statement in the annual performance report because of the governance issues. So someone will say the municipality is not delivering, but it's all related to the issue of governance that is failing us. And it's all, again, the inter-party politics as well as the factionalism that is happening within the province. This is a slide that is just giving you more detail in terms of the arrangements that we have. Don't worry about the names. All I need to show you is that we've got 29 municipalities that are in outright majority, 25 under coalitions, with a total of 54, not 540, 54 municipalities in the province. And you can imagine the difficulties in terms of decision making in the 25 municipalities that are governed through coalition. If you look at the trends from 2000, we had 10 coalitions. 2006, they reduced to 9, and we thought we were doing well. Come 2011, we went to 20 of the coalitions. And then 2016, things changed, and they were reduced to 7. And we were quite happy, and we thought, oh, maybe all these strategies that are coming up from your B2B and so forth are helping. Come 2021, we went up again to the highest figure, 25 coalitions within KZN. In terms of the outright majority, there are 18 municipalities governed by the ruling party, the ANC, 10 through the IFP, 1 municipality under the DA, and then 25 listed there under the coalition. And the coalition ranges from 18 under the IFP, 5 ANC, 1 NFP, and 1 APEM. But don't be surprised tomorrow when this changes, because every day there is a jostling for power, there is a jostling for positions, and the marriages keep changing. So out of those 25, the marriages can change, and you may find that we wake up, eThekwini is now taken over by another party, and the coalition has broken. And what does that mean in terms of service delivery? It means everything has to change, because whoever is now in power will want their projects to take precedence. They would push for their strategies. They would push for the implementation of their manifesto. So you can imagine the majority of our municipalities in KZN are facing this. And that includes our metro, which is eThekwini. And again, Umkhanyakude, it's a case study that I'll be asking some of the students to probably document, because it is an interesting case study which really shows us the brokenness that we have within in terms of the local government system. I'm sure if some of you decide to do that case study, you will come up with interesting findings that will assist us to shape the local government system moving forward. And then again, the issue of the coalitions, I really find it quite interesting but frustrating at the same time, because there is a lot of trading of positions, which is now becoming the central issue around the disagreements that are coming up. The positions that are key in municipalities is the MPAC chairperson, the whip of council, the deputy mayor. These are the positions that are traded the most in terms of these coalitions. And you can imagine every day there is an issue around a motion of no confidence. And I think yesterday alone, there were two councils that sat, and there were motions of no confidence that were tabled. And we live in fear as local government, because you don't know who is going to be mayor tomorrow. And therefore, when it comes to the decisions, even with officials themselves, they fear, and that affects service delivery. Again, there is also evidence of smaller parties coming and having a bigger say in terms of what happens in municipalities. They want their programs, they want their manifesto expressed in the IDPs, and eThekwini is a typical example. It's a small party that took over the position of deputy mayor, but that party has got a lot of say in terms of what happens. Again, when the divorces take place, then there are challenges, and we've got a lot of these divorce cases that are coming up in KZN. And moving forward, maybe the powers that be, they really need to relook at the legislation to cater for the hung municipalities, so that we give parties more time again to even negotiate these marriages, because they set municipalities today, and they're expected to then nominate and appoint a mayor within a certain period. There is no time for them to even negotiate at a strategic level to say, we are agreeing on this marriage with these terms, and these terms will translate into service delivery in this manner, and also translate into meeting the community activities or the community requests in this kind of manner. It's not happening because there is no time. They get married quickly, and they nominate the chairpersons for the critical positions, and before you know it, they now have to start working, and those marriages are really not working, and this is the reason why we've got so many challenges that we are facing. And then moving on to the issue around the macro level, again on issues around the spatial planning differences, mainly due to the apartheid government, where where spatial planning was done through on a racial basis. We have this Spluma legislation that is supposed to be assisting us, but unfortunately, things are not working as expected in terms of Spluma. For our province, which is KZN, unfortunately, our institution of traditional leaders has outright said they don't want anything to do with Spluma. They've even refused us permission to go and present on Spluma until certain issues that they want discussed at a national level are resolved. So meaning, as much as we would want to try and assist in terms of spatial planning at a local government level, the institution of traditional leaders is not going to assist us, because they've got their own views, and they've taken a stance to say we are not going to participate until certain issues that we raised are addressed. So Spluma, yes, it's happening, but it's not really fully functional as expected because of the challenges that we are facing. Maybe other provinces that do not have a lot of traditional authorities are not in the same position as KZN, but with us as KZN, those are the challenges that we face. But also within, outside the areas of Amakosi or traditional leaders, we still have those challenges that are caused by the apartheid way of spatial planning. And eThekwini is a good example. And with the recent floods, you can see that we are in for a high jump, because we've got a lot of population that has migrated into the urban areas, which we cannot cater for. And because of the challenges, we are going to have communities settling in areas that are not conducive for further development, and they need relocation. As we speak, and I'm sure you've been listening to the news, yesterday there was communities that were protesting. They are actually in shelters, having been moved from areas that were flooded, and they moved to shelters. It's been more than 4 months after the floods, and we can't find land to house these communities. As much as there are offers for land, but some of the land is far from where these communities would want to be located. And therefore, we are going to continue having people in shelters probably for the next 4 months or so, because there is no land. Land that is suitable is far from where they would want to be located. And we are then facing a serious challenge. And local government or municipalities are therefore going to be told, you are failing us. But the issues that are at hand are more social than anything that you can think of. Moving on again to the issue of migration that I had already started alluding to, the local government is also under a lot of pressure, especially in the urban areas, due to the expanding population. It's too rapid. We can't cope. The services that we offer in the townships are beginning to be constrained because of the high population or the increases in population due to people coming to look for jobs. If you look at most of the townships, there are burst pipes, there's sewer spilling all over. It's because the system can't cope anymore because of the migration into these townships. Yet they were not the services were meant for a certain amount of people. This is prevalent in metro cities, in secondary cities. In the small towns that we have serious challenges due to the rapid migration or urbanization, which we are saying as municipalities, we are failing to now provide services in the form of your water, your electricity, because the rate of the increase in population is just too quick. Again, moving to the organizational level issues, I'll also just pick on 5, starting with the issues around funding, capacity, the issues around the negative audit findings, the issues around SCM. We spoke at length on day 1 around some of these issues, including the issue of lack of or limited repairs and maintenance, which is really affecting the way that we look at municipalities. Funding constraints, are we underfunded as local government? I don't believe so. I don't think so. I think there is a lot of money out there, but probably we may not be utilizing it for the right things. And maybe there is also a lot of wastage in the system that we may need to address moving forward. Many municipalities, I know they are grant dependent, and in some municipalities they cannot collect or they cannot collect rates from the entire population because of the high indigency. But at the same time, we don't even know the number of indigent people that we're supposed to be catering for, because we don't even have those indigent registers. Yet national government is saying we can increase your equitable share, we can work with you, but you also need to demonstrate to us that you are capable and you've got your systems in place. We also had in the past few days the high debt that municipalities have in terms of ESCOM and water. And yet if you look at the previous dispensation, water and electricity were cash cows. Municipalities were deriving a lot of revenue from providing these 2 services of water and electricity. And when we moved into the new dispensation, we thought this was going to be the same, but unfortunately it's not. And municipalities are owing ESCOM, they are owing water boards, and it's just becoming a situation that is out of control. And we've got situations where ESCOM or the water boards are saying we are going to cut you off. And to be honest, I really don't know how this will be resolved moving forward, because the debt is growing by day, and municipalities really cannot cope. And we also are aware that some municipalities cannot even meet their obligations in terms of paying contracts. We have situations where National Treasury transfers equitable share to municipalities, or their MIG grants, and those grants are utilized for other things outside what they are meant for. We've got situations where come the need to produce evidence of your grant expenditure. You'd note that on the ground the project is complete, but the contractors have not been paid because there is no money in the account. Your grants are not cash backed. Why? I don't really understand what happens. So municipalities then tend to rob Paul to pay Peter, and they wait for a crisis to then decide who to pay in this particular month. And one would be asking, for how long are we going to sustain this? And this is the reality on the ground, I must say. It's happening in most municipalities. They struggle because they are not cash backed, and they also cannot borrow because they don't have the capacity to borrow, or the mass to borrow. And this is something that is prevalent in most municipalities. This is also coupled with their inability to get communities to pay for services. When councillors go out to campaign, in most cases they will be saying, when you get into power, you won't be paying for electricity, or you get free basic services. But they forget to qualify that at the end of the day, municipalities have got to survive. They've got to collect revenue to survive. Capacity constraints, I think this has been overstated, and I don't know really whether we should be putting emphasis on issues of capacity without really doing anything about it, which includes consequence management. Again, we say public sector is not attracting the right talent for us to be able to deliver. High vacancy rates, this is a graph that has been borrowed from the census data, Stats SA, and we're just indicating between 2018 and 2019, the vacancy rates in municipalities. And you ask yourself, if they've got such high vacancies, would they really be able to deliver on services? But again, with the KZN, which I'm more familiar with, when it comes to the top 5 positions in municipalities, we still have high vacancy rates. But why? Because of the trading of positions is not only happening within the politics, it's also happening in the positions that we have in municipalities. So we really need to make sure that moving forward, we address the issue of the politicization of positions. We also have a lot of outsourcing in municipalities. I don't know, it's again, people say it's because of the lack of capacity. But why are we not employing the right people for the posts, so that we limit outsourcing, which on its own leads to corrupt activities and unethical activities? So again, we just need to relook at whether we need to how we can address this particular issue moving forward. Again, if we move to the issue of the negative findings in terms of the AG, again, if you just scan through the AG's findings, the issue of irregular expenditure, the issue of fruitless and wasteful expenditure is prevalent among municipalities, and this severely impacts on how municipalities are providing services. Supply chain, this has been overstated. It's been we speak about this in almost all platforms, but still there is no change. Nothing is happening. Again, it's also related to the audit findings, and we talk about lifestyle audits in municipalities, but when is it going to kick off? We were given the regulations or policies relating to lifestyle audits, but it's not happening. So the notion that municipalities are compliance driven, at times it is true. In the end, some municipalities don't provide services because they feel if they go through some SCM process with a political mandate, they will then attract negative audit findings, and then they decide we would rather not spend our budgets than have negative audit findings. So driving towards a clean audit is also affecting us. Lack or limited repairs and maintenance is also an issue that we're battling with. And municipalities are not budgeting enough in terms of O&M. And in the following slides, I'll also go deeper in demonstrating the impact in terms of the water sector, where O&M is now affecting services even where there is infrastructure. This is just another example of what we should be doing around O&M. The National Treasury gave directives that we should budget at least 8% of our PPE towards O&M. Is that happening? In KZN, I can tell you only 3 municipalities or even less are budgeting that 8% that is required. And that in itself will just tell you that we are not going to get anywhere. We are going to be going back, creating new backlogs with the old infrastructure that we have, because we are not doing enough in terms of provisions for operations and maintenance. This is just an indication of the growth in terms of access to water over the years. From 2001, access to sanitation, it's improving. It means government is doing a lot in terms of putting in funding and resources, but there's a challenge in terms of maintaining what we would have put in, and this is why we've got new backlogs coming up. You'll see in the next slide the issue around the change from 2011 to 2016 in terms of access to water. You can see the good change, the growth in terms of access. But again, that growth in terms of the community satisfaction survey, it has been affected. As you can see, a lot of the population that we are serving are not happy. They are still saying they are not happy with the performance of district and local municipalities, because they've got pipes, they've got the infrastructure, but there's no water coming out of the taps. Why? Because either we've got the repairs and maintenance not catered for, and there is no water coming out, or we are now short of the resource itself because of the in-migration into some of these areas. If you look at the satisfaction levels in some of these secondary cities, it was quite high. But as we speak today, these are the areas where we've got the highest protests moving forward. You'll see when I demonstrate further. Again, this is also the dissatisfaction levels, and you can see in the northern areas, this is where we've got most of the dissatisfaction. Again, we are also demonstrating the top six municipal services that are viewed as very important: water, electricity, municipal clinic services. This is out of a survey that was done by Stats SA, and they are then also indicating the satisfaction levels in terms of these services. You can see water, 50% satisfaction is the most important service, but we are not providing it to the best of our ability. And where we are providing it, there are protests, and this is an indication of the protests that we have in the province and the growth in the protests. And you can see 2022, we are already sitting at 99 or almost 100, and we are halfway through the year. What then is going to happen? It means this year we are also going to see a lot of protests, and it's mainly because of the empty promises that we make as government. And these empty promises are then translating into local government being viewed as the weakest link moving forward. This is a picture that I took in one of the protests that took place early this year in the South Coast, and you can see it's youthful population. This was at 11:30. The youth, these communities, when you speak to them in detail, they will tell you it's not really about water. We need jobs. We've got nothing to do, and today we found something to do. That's why we're in the streets protesting and burning tires. And within KZN, I'm also just giving an example of access to water, and also the issue of O&M and the dysfunctionality in the infrastructure. You can see in Amajuba as an example, we've got access to infrastructure sitting at access to water sitting at 81%, and 6.8% of the population are not getting water due to dysfunctional infrastructure. I'll not go through some of the slides. Let me quickly move towards the end. The overall observations, in South Africa, we've got scarcity in water, but water is our biggest priority. And what then are we doing in terms of the supporting local government to deliver on water? And what is local government itself doing to ensure we save the little water that we have? Climate change, we can also see that it is really affecting, and they're saying the future wars are going to be around water, and we can see it happening. And again, in municipalities, the issue around climate change response plans, we are not giving it priority. And I hope and trust that the floods that we had in KZN were an eye-opener, and we'll be able, moving forward, to ensure that we address the issue of climate change. The recommendations to turn the corner, we need to rethink our service delivery model, take advantage of the advancement in technology. We need to ensure that we provide more of these peer learning sessions. The winter school is a good example, but let's get a lot of our players within the local government system participating. The strengthening of local government, let's make sure we do that by professionalizing it. We've been talking about professionalizing, but we're not putting it into action. Why? It's been on the cards for too long. Let's make it happen. Social compacts, we saw the impact in terms of social compacts on day one. We need to ensure that we enter into social compacts with the communities that we serve. Promoting localization, improving communication, implementation of consequence management. I think let me end it there. Vusi is already watching me to ensure that I finish my talk. But I'm passionate about local government, but I'm now getting tired because we keep talking about the same things over and over again, but we are not coming up with solutions that we can implement. Thank you, Vusi. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ma'am Mgutshini. That's Barbara Mgutshini, the Director General of KwaZulu Natal Cooperative Governments and Traditional Affairs. That's CoGTA, to be precise. Thank you for sharing those nuggets. Local government, I think even provinces, you give us a great sense of it's not an easy job. You are mired by a lot of politics and lack of revenue generation, and citizens or communities that are also struggling to pay, whilst municipalities are also struggling to meet some of their obligations. So thank you for that. We have a minute before we turn to the next session. Maybe one of the questions here that came from Silo Raymond Malike. Silo is asking if, how is this, I think Silo is referring to the challenges, how are these challenges going to affect foreign direct investment in government infrastructure? I assume he means the provincial government infrastructure and our ability to borrow for capital projects such as repurposing of the 35 power plant. So maybe just a quick, brief response there, Mem Mgutshini, on how will these challenges play out in affecting some of the foreign direct investment that comes into provinces. I know you have special economic zones in KwaZulu Natal, and how do these affect such investments and our ability to borrow?
Thank you, Vusi. Maybe let's relook at the investor confidence in terms of the country as a whole, and also investor confidence in terms of KZN. KZN is always above the provincial graph or trends in terms of investor confidence. But then that is now going to be affected by the infrastructure or lack of infrastructure. Government has been trying to set up what we call one-stop shops to ensure we attract and we have one point of coordination for investors. But that is not yielding the results that we've been expecting at a high speed because of the lack of confidence in the municipalities, and also the recent social unrest that we faced as KZN is also going to affect the outlook there in terms of the investors. No one would want to come and invest where they know the risk is high and where they know there is scarcity in terms of the risk for water provision and as well as electricity. So we are aware of these challenges, and we need really to put more effort as the province, as municipalities, to clear the outlook out there and make sure that the investor confidence is regained and reposted. Thank you.
Investor confidence it is. So there you have it, Silo. All you need to do things right so investors can have confidence in you and invest in your cities or infrastructure. Thank you once again, Mgutshini, for such a thorough presentation and giving us a good framing of some of the challenges and opportunities that you are facing as the provincial government and building that relationship with the national government. Thank you. All right. There's a poll up on your screen. If you can, please complete the poll for this session, and we will now turn over to the next session. You don't have to take a break for this. We're just quickly gonna leave this session and join the next session on framing the state of basic service delivery, giving us an in-depth analysis of the community survey from our colleagues in Statistics South Africa. So we're gonna leave this session, join the next session after we'll take a 10 minutes break. So let's all move to the next session.